I had a great website reveal meeting yesterday with a client. This client is a urologist, and they're breaking off into kind of wellness. So, in terms of O shot, P shot, we're talking about your traditional urology issues. You're talking about frequency of being, urination, all those things that are kind of sticky and involve indoor plumbing for men and women, mostly women, men as well. So they sent over an original document with, and I'll show you that document right here. Okay. Basically, I asked them, I said, are there sites that you like out there, right? That we can kind of design off of, and what do you like and dislike about them? This is what I got, which is fine. I actually had a meeting with them. I actually recorded a session because it's a couple of doctors and the office staff manager, which is great. But they were always busy, so I couldn't get time with them. So what I did was I went through, and you can get a link of that video recording if you want below. I think I can share that with you. If it is, you'll see it there. If I can't, then obviously I couldn't. But anyway, I went through these 3 websites and really broke out what I was seeing and what I liked and disliked about each and every one of them. And I, kind of was summarizing, especially with their traffic, their current traffic, and even looked at these other websites' traffic, about some of the things I was seeing there from the outsider's perspective in terms of search and paid and organic rankings and all that fun stuff. But for this purpose, I'm talking about design. So net is, I did a quick summary yesterday of these specific sites, and then basically presented the new site that we were looking at. So let me bring those up for you so you can see. The first site here was very similar to what the services are similar to what this specific company is offering in terms of their services, et cetera. And other than that, didn't like anything about the site primarily, but went through. Obviously, we have a logo. The images and photography makes it feel old and stodgy. I'm not talking about the woman. I'm talking about the creative execution here. The style of the photo makes it look old and stodgy too. Icons are almost childishly big. When you load this initially, there's a gift certificate that actually shows up on that right-hand side, which is always interesting. Definitely. It's just an old school design, although I do like some of these details with the backdrop here, although that looks like it's not actually physically a background of any kind. It looks like it's an artistic one. But always talk about doctors. Doctors love to talk about themselves and see things, so it's definitely something that would be pretty critical and important. Love the fact they did highlight the services here, which is great. Don't mind that at all. Raving fans testimony is great. A little bit of a fat footer kind of thing going on. Other than that, like the navigation was much the only thing there. This one here, if we reload it, especially, be able to see that in just a second. We'll reload it. They really focused on the creative of this one, right? In terms of the overall look and style of it, of the drama that it creates, especially as it loads. You see how it kind of zooms in, right? So very high impact and design and things like that. Obviously, the design of the logo has a kind of a feel as to what they actually do. Wink, wink, nod, nod. The navigation element is soft on the front, but as you scroll down, you can actually see it kind of black out, which is great, allowing that navigation to pop out at you a little bit more and allow you to go ahead and access the screen. But love the glamour associated with this specific site, and they did too. That was something that was really, really important to them. Nice call to action there. I like the cleanliness of this photo in terms of the style and execution, very well laid out. It's trying to tell me a story in terms of being able to just kind of book now, which is great. I do like the fact that this was nice and clean with this gray. There's nothing really that pops out in terms of these words and things like that, but in essence, there's a nice framework going on in terms of sections of the site that I can see. Loved the parallax effect here with the shapes, right? These are body elements. Love how that kind of scopes into that. Another thing too, just to let you know on this photo, it although it's a glamour shot, it doesn't really draw you in directly to the low stuff. And you'll see with the frame of this photo that you're not sure if there's anything really below it. So those are things that kind of pop out in terms of a normal page load on desktop. But again, love the background treatments associated with this. Again, soft, curvy, sensual, those kind of things without, again, drawing a lot of attention to it, but it's establishing a feel, right? An emotion, right? That's trying to tie into that. And then here's where it gets a little schizophrenic. They did highlight their services, which is fine. But you'll notice they even use the standard, these come loaded in their CMS, like the leaf thing going on, right? Come on, boys and girls, we get done better than that. So in terms of this layout, yes, it seems okay. I mean, it's got the Morpheus 8 and then some bullet points, the Factora V and some bullet points, but then it starts getting kind of schizophrenic here, okay? And then we see a lady getting jabbed in the face with a big sharp needle. Not something we want to do when we're going to now ask them to call us and schedule an appointment. Yes, that's part of the process. We understand that. Yes, it doesn't look like she's having a tremendous amount of pain at this point, but you know that there's going to be a pinch. So you're just waiting for the anxiety to kind of kick in there, right? So don't do that. Some simple design tips there. And again, just a schizophrenic layout in terms of the design. It just gets worse after that. But again, Boku's on, laying out all the services that they do, and that was good. The third site they sent me was this one right here. And I love this site. Love this page, I should say, this execution. This is actually the first image that actually loads in here. It doesn't really move, it just rotates through a normal rotator. Love the call to actions on the top, very good. I enjoy the light feel of it. It feels almost like cosmetic-y, right, in terms of its design. We're talking about a med spa, right? So it kind of makes some sense there. But love the pop of these 3 photo rotators. Really nice and good. Nice call to actions too with some of this stuff. She even has like a glow upon the glow, right, in terms of this execution. But you'll notice something here real quick, right? So you've got these elements just kind of lead into the rest of the content. Feel that? Do you feel it kind of moving into the content, moving into it? These other photos do the same thing, right? There's this rotator here. It makes me want to see how it's bright. It kind of makes me want to go down and get into the rest of the website itself. Same thing here, again, with the leaves, right? It makes you want to continue on down that relationship, okay? It's really great photos there, great selection. Again, icons a bit big and a bit childish. I think it does need a title on it here, but I like the framework of this where you can actually see it sectioned off, right? You can actually know where you're at. Now, I don't know what's coming below here as I scroll, but I do know, I feel like it's a separate thing, right? I feel like it's separate engagement, and it doesn't feel necessarily out of place. Here, again, try to do something unique in terms of feel, which is fine. Again, call to actions, great stuff. Love call to actions. A lot of text, though, really. Almost too much. And probably they could look at their analytics and see if anybody stays on this page very long. But my guess is not. This is where really the gravy hits, right? They're bringing out specific areas of interest for their clients, right? These facial rejuvenation, sculpting the body. And it's very simple to get the framework and foundation. This is about this, associated with this photo. This is with this photo, associated with this content. Great stuff. Always talk about the doctors too. It's great, in terms of that 360 kind of perspective. Blogs, you can look at your to see if anybody's actually clicking it. But again, not typically here. They just came in on a homepage, right? So are they interested in this one specific story? Maybe, probably not, but we'll see. You would always look, right, and see. Love this. The background here is very nicely done. Gives me an attitude, right? That, it's classy, high end, right? I'm not even sure if this is their facility. It may or may not be. It looks like it's the check-in kind of area. It might be. I think it looks different than their check-in area up here, but I don't know. It might be just a normal drop photo or whatever. But love the 360 video execution, and it was a very nicely done video, by the way. Again, content, a lot of content here. And then we also have the fat footer as well with the email form. Now, taking those things and kind of mashing them up, we created a website, which again could have been good or bad. I was actually a little nervous with it. I actually created two different designs completely for it. This one being my favorite. I'm glad to know they liked it because there was very little communication between what we had actually come up with. So this site here has you can see now various components of it kind of coming together, right? This actually is one of the photos that they're using for their collateral materials as it is. So good stuff there, but love the colors of this photo, especially the blue outplays the green and blue as it plays off of her eyes, and this red especially comes in, just makes you want to come down and look at the rest of the photo. And I do know on this homepage now with this rotator that there's content below it, right? But I love this photo and love the play off of it. Again, navigation loads kind of softly in her hair. We don't really see it. And then when we scroll down, it goes darker. But I love the fact that it even accentuates her eyes with the black. It's a beautiful thing. I just enjoy this photo. Okay. And call to actions. A lot of this stuff is going to be wordsmith. I was really going after the design element yesterday when I was talking to them. But even things like this, right? So they're talking about the internal plumbing, right? You know, we're talking sensitive, soft, you know, I'll use the word vaginal issues and all that stuff in terms of rejuvenation of all that. You can't just throw various body parts up on the site and go, hey, you know, we fix this. So you have to integrate some of these design concepts in. So for example, this is actually white silk. You can actually see the white, you can see the flow of the fabric, right? The softness, and then we overlaid that with the colors that are appropriate for the site, right? And then even things like, you know, putting just the simple backdrops for the shadows behind the font as well as the buttons allow for pop, you know, kind of that popping to come out, you know, give it some distance, give it some depth, right? In terms of that. And even this bar right here, you can see that there's a shadow applied to it as well, right below it to, again, give it that depth that we're kind of looking for, okay? Other things that we've done here. So there, believe it or not, this stress incontinence it's a service that they do, but it has this photo, this actual photo is the lead for it, which when you look at it, you go stress incontinence, right? Maybe with the water and stuff like that, you can actually kind of build that case, but you're not going to know that coming from the onset. So we went in with some of these photos to say, I really think it should be something different. So at least the photo exemplifies or shows me what it actually is, right? I shouldn't have to read the stuff in order to picture out what that is. So like in things like this, where we go down here, the O shot is to, well, you can read it here, but just it's to help with the vaginal area, right? And there's various aspects of what that would be helpful with, but the photo says nothing. And by the way, this photo, she's going to give me a high resolution for this one and this one as well. But the net is make sure the photo kind of connects, right, visually with what you're trying to talk about it if you can, right? From a design standpoint, this photo might be a little too playful, although they loved it. It's very obvious from this photo what she's dealing with in this photo, okay? Especially with that legs crossed. She's just holding that area, will be a little different, but now she's got her legs crossed. That's telling us something. So definitely a good photo there, at least in conceptually. Again, it might be a little too playful, but they liked it a lot. Maybe if you even have darken it maybe a little bit, maybe it makes it a little bit more serious. So we could even play with that. You know, bring a darker shadow kind of on the front and then fade out that shadow a little bit. So this image is a little bit darker, maybe a little less playful, something like that, right? Because we do want it to be a little bit more dramatic. But anyway, it's something to think about. But again, the structure of the site, it's obvious, right, where this content is connected with. And then we have, again, a call to action, right? Each one of these services has a whole new landing page, which we built up the one here, but you can see it. Microneedling, same thing. Again, she's not in pain. We're not seeing this massive needle being driven into her forehead, okay? And she looks like she's comfortable. So those are the kind of things that you need to be thinking about. Just because it's accurate doesn't mean that it's helpful, right? The Morpheus product, again, microneedling. This is a photo they were comfortable with using, great. I would prefer if it was maybe a little bit more detailed about what it was specifically. So again, I can connect those two things. Maybe even having the logo on it with the product, so I know that it's there if that's something they're going to feature. The O shots, again, same thing. So I'm clearly understanding the architecture of the site. I guess that's the key takeaway there, right? And then what we recommend on every single website, literally, if search is important to you and being Google found and anything, right? You never know where a guest may come into a website, right? They may come in on a secondary page. In fact, if you're doing SEO, search engine optimization, or even driving people with paid media, especially you're taking them to not your freaking homepage, for the love of God. Take them to the most presentable, appropriate page based on what that guest searched for. In many cases, that's going to be a secondary page of yours, okay? So what we recommend is having a good 360 video. We call it 360 video. Basically, it's like a 30-second to a minute video on your organization. Who, what, when, where, why, and how, right? Think about that kind of stuff. Make sure it's well done. This thing should last several years for you, okay? So if you need help with those, let us know. Like, we can script something out. We can actually do the video shoot, but that is critical to your business. And by the way, tremendous for marketing. If you've got that 360 video of your product, services, who you're talking to, client testimonials, all that great stuff, your office, you can splice it up a billion different ways and use that in your advertising and marketing later on, right? So if you're a specific service or you're really good at, you can take that, raw footage, turn it into a small video, 10, 20, 30 seconds, maybe even a little bit more. With the bookends, introduction, what they care about, call to action, whatever, and then do YouTube advertising to it, right? Draw PPC advertising to it. Optimize that page for organic search on your website, right? But either way, this section right here, and then the call to action right below it is something you see on every single one of our websites. Because again, you don't know every single web page of every single website, with the exception of maybe the contact us, or where it's not appropriate, maybe. Because again, if they do a search for example, in this case here, this Forma V product, I don't want them going to the homepage. If I'm optimizing for that key term, Google's going to be taking them to that specific page. Well, they didn't see this 360 video. So make sure that this content, that 360 video, what makes us unique and different, value points, and the call to action is on the bottom of every single page. Makes sense. So those are just some, and the last thing here, again, this is a very simple design website, right? But some of the feel and unique, I got two more things actually. This one right here, this is the same silk with the overlay of the pink, but it's a different alignment of it. This one here is, I think, the bottom right, and this one up here is the top left. Okay, and it's responsive and things like that, which is just hunky-dory. I don't know if it'll look great yet. Well, yeah, it looks pretty decent. Okay, so let's see. Oh, we haven't really tested that out just yet. No, we will. Oh, one more thing to think about. Okay, so this, out of all these services that this client has, right, the stressing, microneedling, or his whatever, if you shot. Okay, each one of those brochures, and it's a trifold brochure they have in their office that they're getting developed. Each of it has its own color. So like one's more purple, one's more gray, one's more pink, one's more maroon. And so what we end up doing is, instead of, you've seen it before probably with like different, like, let's say divisions of a company, where one will be like, the division will be red, and the division will be, yellow, and the division will be green, and the division will be blue. They kind of doing that same kind of concept. So we said is, all right, let's bring these things together. So this flower is used in all that collateral material, and it's kind of based on the pinkish color. So what we did was we said, all right, well, let's take the variation of the hue colors in that for the pink and mauve and maroon and gray, and let's overlay those with the petals of the flower. So that's the culmination of what you got going on right here. And so one of the things that came out is, like, you can barely see the copy here, right above that, especially as it rotates in, and things like that. We'll either darken or lighten the area of this, or more likely we'll probably just put a background on this, a light background on this, and we do need to bump up the font anyway because it's actually fairly low. I think it's 12 really right out of the gate. So again, just wanted to share that with you guys from a design point. Navigation, textures, depth, photo selection, just controlling. The word controlling the eye sounds kind of creepy, weird, but just encouraging the eye, knowing how our brains process information, really can do some quite dramatic and amazing things. So, I mean, I hope that helps you guys out a little bit. I think it will. I enjoy talking about this. If you have considerations, issues, questions about graphic design, website development, content writing, because content writing is pretty important. It comes back, everything digital comes back to content, right? Even if they're concepts. PPC advertising, video production, any of that, go ahead and ping me via the contact form. You can reach me directly at roibychris.com. You can even schedule an appointment if you guys want to do a 15-seconder. Also, feel free to like and share the content. So hopefully we'll be doing more of these where we'll just be sharing things that are good design principles, good performance issues in terms of AdWords and things like that. I do have a session coming up on Monday, another live session. I don't know. I was originally going to talk about Google Ads, but there was something else that I wanted to zero in on. I can't remember what it is right now. I'll have to get back to you. But either way, go ahead and you can tune in at 11 a.m. if you want that webinar information, the webcast information. Go ahead and send me an email, chris.bernard@doc29.com. Or again, ROI by Chris, you can go there and schedule an appointment. We can even chat for 15 minutes if you want. So hope you're doing good. And thanks for the time today. Bye-bye.